Hello and welcome back to Dawn's Death to Life Parenting. Today I will be talking about the number one job of the children. Now this also kind of overlaps with something else I'll talk about, which is keeping things simple. That's just so important, to keep things simple. And this falls under that category as well. But what I'll talk about is what I tell my girls who are age 1 and 5 right now. I think I've been saying it for a couple years now with my 5-year-old. I had a revelation one day. I believe in the Bible, and I noticed in the Bible in Colossians 3:20 it says, "Children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord." And I read that and I understand there's not a lot of verses in the Bible that address like what children should or should not be doing. And this verse hit me and it was like, wow, that's their job. The children's job is to, how I say it is, listen to their mommy and their daddy. And that's it, period. Like, I loved it because it just fit. It fit so well, and it kind of fits in a lot of ways. But I adopted that, and I started telling my older daughter, like, Ellie Jean, I want to tell you something. And I don't do this often where I tell, because like, this is another video, but words are great, and they also don't matter as much as like consistent action over time. So like, I could say that to her, and then if I allow her to be disobedient, it's like in one sense, I might as well not have even said it. It's like, if I'm a parent, I say something, it's like it has to be what I say, and it's on me. It's not on the child to even follow through with this. I could care less whether she takes it to heart or not, but, well, I do care, and I also expect, it's like, if I give a child a job, it's like, are they going to do the job? No, they're not going to do the job. Maybe, and it's great when they do. It's like, whoa, that was awesome. But anyway, so I started saying this to Ellie Jean. I realized I'm going to make this her only job. All she has to worry about is to listen to her mommy and listen to her daddy, period. That is it. And I loved it. And I think, and she, like, for a child, she was able to understand that. It's like, okay, it doesn't mean she does it. She does actually do a very good job, at this point in her life. And, my 1-year-old is about to be 2 and she's learning. But like, and then, I'll give a little bit more context before circling back to what that actually looks like. In my faith, one of my most important, if not the most important thing, is being obedient to the God of the Bible, my God. And I realized, man, if I would have learned that as a child with my parents, because, side note, parents are God to children, whether they like it or not, or do a good job or not, or it doesn't matter. The reality is, parents are God to children. I learned that, it's true for me. I believe that, it's just children, the parents are God. And so whatever the image of the parents imprint on the child, that will live with the child into adulthood. And if it's good and right, it'll serve the child well. If it's not good and not right, it is extremely difficult to overcome as an adult. And I say extremely difficult, at least in my experience, and a lot of others I've known. And that doesn't mean it's, kids, there can be miracles and stuff like that, but just generally, for example, if I grow up being afraid of getting punished at any moment, in a very unsafe and insecure environment, and I learned that's normal, and I learned that's reality, and I learned that's coming out of my God, which is my parents, the kids aren't even thinking like this. This is just what's imprinted onto their body and their mind and their soul. Then as an adult, it's just going to be an adult version of this, unless there's some sort of healing or intervention or recovery. It's going to be an adult who's insecure, unsafe, and afraid of that something's going to come down upon them at any moment. And their, perception of God is going to be in line with this. So I say all this to go back to the only, that's my adult perspective. And then going back, that's my vision for my girls, is they will grow up. And of course, this is so much of my responsibility. They will grow up having a firm and loving, Father, God. When I send them off as adults, that will persist with them. They will also know their job is to be obedient to, now their Father God, who is their, their authority now when I hand them off to adulthood. So I'm training them up to be obedient. Not only is it, good for us and me and the proper right relationship between a parent and a child right now, it's also good and right and the proper relationship for an adult to the true God, the one true God. I tell Ellie, I've been telling Ellie Jean this. She knows it. I mean, I've told her enough times. She knows, your only job. And I've started telling Isla too, and I can't tell if she's barely starting to understand that or not. She's almost 2. And, a couple times I've said it, she didn't even respond. So I'm like, okay, she didn't understand. The last time I said it, she was like, oh, okay. Which doesn't mean she understood it either, but it does mean she at least heard me, and I will keep telling her. I mean, okay, so the beauty of this is it's so simple. The children, they don't have to worry about situational things. They don't have to worry about safe or unsafe. Which I think is all this is proper for a child. Keep it simple. They just let them be a child, let them play, let them make mistakes. Of course, if I have to intervene, if there's a safety issue, like life or death, I will. I hate doing it, but well, I shouldn't say I hate doing it, but I try to let them make mistakes. Now, that's a whole nother video, but anyway. So it's simple enough they understand it, and then from there that's like a launching pad. Like, man, as a parent, it's like, I have to wield this responsibility, not take advantage of this, and that comes down to my heart and the heart of every parent towards their child, but it is good and right for a child to be obedient, my girls to be obedient to me, and it's good for them also to kind of have that proper authority in their lives, and it's good for me to have that proper authority over my children. And this is just so beautiful in so many ways, like, and there's a few things I will share, kind of how I've refined this over time and found a nice place to relate to my girls. Let me think of an example. So here's an example. Like, we were at a park a few days ago. Yeah, this is a good example. And it was getting dark, and it was a park that I don't have a lot of experience at, and I don't trust the environment yet. And so I'm not comfortable with, leaving my 5-year-old alone, outside the bathroom as it's getting dark. And it's like, I'm not, and this is kind of back I'll do a whole separate video on this, but like not explaining, I'm not going to explain that to her. I don't want her to know that. I don't want her to start worrying. I don't want her to try to convince me out of my fear, period, ... Like, so we're in the bathroom, Ellie Jean goes to the bathroom. Isla and I are washing our hands. Ellie Jean's done. She's like, Daddy, I'm going to go outside, okay? And I'm like, Ellie Jean, I'm very sorry. I need you to stay in here with me. I thought about it for a second. And normally this is, I let her go outside the door, like, of places we're at because they're safe. But I was just like, I felt in my heart like, oh man, no, I don't feel good about that. And whether I'm right or wrong, it's like, I don't care in that moment. I'm just like, I don't feel comfortable with that as the parent. I'm like, Ellie Jean, I'm very sorry. I can't let you go outside right now. I need you to stay with us. And she's like, oh, but Daddy, why? Like, I don't want to stay here. I'm like, and I just kind of repeated the same thing. Ellie Jean, I'm very sorry. I can't have you go outside right now. I need you to stay with us. And I can even hear it, like, that's actually kind of a long response. And I can't say that again. Like, and I think she said one more time, oh, Daddy. And it's like, I know, I don't know what I said. It's just like some sort of brain dead, empathetic response. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, sweetheart. I know it's very sad when little girl can't do what she wants. And then she just kind of lingered by the door and, was upset like she should be, like a child. When a child doesn't get what they want, they should be upset. They should be angry, or they should be sad, or they should be, that's expected. That is good. That is right. And, so that's just an example of, her job is to listen to her daddy. And in that moment, and there's a big part 2 to this, which I'll probably do in a different video, but I'll mention here. Part 1 is listen to your daddy. Part 2 is on me. It is on me so much to give, and I'm gonna say it this way, to give her a chance to do her job. I'm a big believer in giving people a chance to do their job and not stepping in and not helping unsolicited and not, gosh, this is such a huge concept, especially for children. But anyway, so part of that in this context is when I ask or tell Ellie Jean, make my will clear. It's like, to her, I don't give her a reason to obey. I don't try to convince her to obey. I don't reason with her. Like, and this is all very firm. And so, I believe the best way for that firmness to be delivered is with empathy and love, and gentleness, because it is so firm. It's like, just like I did it with her at the bathroom situation. Like, I realize it. I'm very sorry. Like, I know you want to do this and I'm not letting you do it. Like, that's a tough situation for a child. That's a tough situation for an adult. Like, what if I want to do something and I can't do it? Like, that's a bummer. That's a sad situation. Delivered with an understanding that this is a hard message for a child to receive, or I should say may be hard. Like, sometimes she just doesn't care. Like, she didn't really want to do what she asked to do. Like, okay, Daddy. Other times it's much, much harder than that bathroom situation. There's a spectrum of responses that sometimes I anticipate, sometimes I don't. And so anyway, that's part 2 of, and this deserves, there's many contexts for this concept that I'll talk about, but in this context, like, I believe very, very strongly in giving the child a chance to obey and trust the parent versus like, oh, the child's having trouble being obedient. Okay, let me give them a reason. I mean, let me play that out. Okay, Ellie Jean, you know, I'm very sorry, like, or I'll just say, it's not safe out there. It's like, Daddy, why is it not safe? And it's like, okay, then I'm about to use about 1,000% more energy on this situation than I actually did. But it's like, okay, if I play that out, well, Ellie Jean, I just haven't been to this park very much, and it's getting dark, so, you know, I don't really feel safe letting you go out. But Daddy, it's safe out there. I didn't see anybody out there. It's like, well, Ellie Jean, you know, there could be somebody, you know, around the corner. She's like, really, Daddy? Like, who? What are you talking about? It's like, well, I don't really know. Maybe like a, you know. So I'm gonna pause there because like this is already exhausting. I'm talking to a child. The child, I know in my heart, like the person I am talking to cannot understand fully what I am saying. My heart, I see no point in this conversation, and my heart is like, why are you wasting your energy explaining this? And then worst case scenario would be like, you know, then she starts to like, oh, Daddy, like, then she starts to be the judge of the situation. Daddy, there's never been a homeless person here. Like, as if she knows, like, oh, okay, Daddy, well, there's never been a homeless person here. I'm gonna go outside. And then she thinks it's a two-way conversation. And I've enabled that. She thinks it's like I've all of a sudden given her power to decide and be the judge of the situation. And I as a parent, I have just absolutely lost that moment. I've shared improper control with her. I've given her improper power. And now I'm feeling like kind of bad in my heart and maybe angry. It's like, but I've brought that upon my own self by allowing her to, you know, kind of step into this decision-making process by giving her reasons. Like, I don't know if any of you can relate to this. I've done all these things, and I've realized how fruitless and draining and exhausting these dynamics are, and they're not good for my relationship. It's like, now how do I feel about Ellie Jean? You know, I don't feel great that, you know, unwittingly, and she's just being a child, I'm the one that made the mistake there. Unwittingly, you know, I've allowed her to make me angry. Unwittingly, I've allowed her, you know, to drain my energy out. Like, that is draining. And meanwhile, I'm trying to wash my hands, wash Isla's hands. So anyway, you know, back to kind of the whole point of this is what I do is I you know, their only job, which turns into 1,000 different jobs, which is the part of the beauty of this. You know, anything I think I need to ask them for, that falls under this. You know, their only job is to listen to their daddy, listen to their mommy, period. And then sometimes they'll say your second job is to be yourself, which that is I kind of say it quickly and just like, I just want them to make sure that, you know, in all of this, they are themselves. Like, that I want them to be themselves, and yet the only thing they have to worry about, the only thing they have to be accountable to is listening to their daddy, listening to their mommy. And it is such a beautiful thing. It is such a beautiful thing to have a child. And it does my heart so good. These are things that keep me going and bring life and not death into the parent-child relationship, or just the such beautiful moments of like, I know in my heart I need them to do something. It's like, Ellie Jean, I need you to, you know, pick up your toys. Okay, Daddy. Goes, picks up her toys. And it's also beautiful, you know, Ellie Jean, I need you to pick up your toys. But Daddy, why? I'm like, I'm very sorry, Ellie Jean. You know, I need little girls to pick up their toys. Okay, Daddy. Like, I just stepped over a massive, you know, stumbling block. And that does my heart good too. That's life, to see something I could have stumbled on and to step on over it and, you know, look back and be like, yeah, that was awesome. I've stumbled on that before and I didn't do it this time. And here I am still going strong with the energy I had before the stumbling block. So anyway, that's all I got. Would love to hear questions, comments, thoughts in the comments. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.